Hey, this is Mark Williams from Swine Barbecue. Today we're going to do a hot and fast pork butt. With Labor Day and college football coming up, this recipe here is going to allow you to spend more time with your family and friends instead of out there with that pit sweating. It's going to be a simple recipe, usually a salt, pepper, garlic. Most of these ingredients you'll already have in your pantry, so you won't have to go to the store to get anything. Once we wrap, we're going to put our favorite barbecue rub on it. We're going to wrap it in butcher paper, that way we save that bark and it's that authentic barbecue flavor everybody loves. This is a quick and easy recipe, but at the end of the day, you'll have a great product. Let's get started. So for this rub we're gonna make, we're gonna start out with a half a cup of coarse ground kosher salt. And then we'll come back with a half a cup of black pepper. And I like the coarse grind on this as well. Once we get that in, we're gonna have a quarter of a cup of a fine grind garlic powder, a quarter cup of fine grind onion powder, and then 1 heaping tablespoon of ground red pepper. Now you can see I put it in a Ziploc bag. This just makes it easy to mix up and easy to store once you're done. You just simply take it, give it a good toss, and it's ready to go. Now I'll take this and pour it into a shaker, that way it's a lot easier to apply, and then we'll get it on this butt. First thing we gotta do is, of course, get this pork butt trimmed. It's not gonna be a lot of trimming just because I like it in its whole form. We're gonna leave the fat cap on. But since we're cooking at a little bit higher temperature, anything you see that may be hanging off there, or just a little corner sticking out, take it off. This one here actually looks pretty good. I don't see too much. Something like this, a little corner here, I'm just gonna take off. We're gonna leave the fat cap on. Now, a lot of times if I'm cooking at a lower temperature, I'll score this fat cap to get a little bit more flavor, and of course, the little pork burnt ends are awesome. But since we're cooking at a higher temperature, I'm not gonna do that because I'd be worried about those burnt ends actually burning. So we're gonna leave that be. We'll look on the bottom side and see. And it's pretty well, you know, you may have a few big chunks of fat you have to take off, but so this don't look too bad at all. We're gonna let this ride. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get our salt, pepper, and garlic seasoning on there. Now this has a lot of pepper and it's a real coarse ground rub, which is gonna give you an excellent bark. It's gonna bring a lot of those Texas flavors everybody loves to the table. And you can go pretty heavy with this. I mean, a pork butt's a pretty good sized piece of meat, so it can handle the extra salt and pepper. Get it flipped over, and then apply the same rub on this side. And that's it. Pretty straightforward, easy recipe. We'll allow this rub to sit on for about 20 to 30 minutes. That way it breaks down, starts sweating. And that time we'll go ahead and get this Outlaw Patio fired up, and we'll be ready to put this butt on the pit. So for this hot and fast cook today, we're gonna be cooking on the Outlaw's Patio model. I'm gonna set it up like I always do. Take a couple tumbleweeds, put on the ash pan, slide it in, get these coals going. After about 10 or 15 minutes, when they start ashing over, we'll go ahead and get a couple splits on it. That way we can start coming up to temp. We'll get the lid closed here shortly, get the vent set, and it won't be long, we'll be ready to put this butt on. It's time to get this pork butt on. Pit's up to temp. She's running clean. I'm gonna place it in here kind of middle of the rack. And then we're gonna put the money muscle in away from your heat. That way this right here should take the brunt of the heat when it comes up. We're gonna be running 300, 325. Should be a pretty quick cook. We're gonna check it about every hour and see how those color's looking. Depending on your pit, you know, running this hot, you may need to turn around and spritz it at about an hour. Just keep an eye on it. You wanna keep that bark moist. Keep it from getting too dark. We're looking at wrapping at about the 2.5, 3 hour mark. Just depends on what the color looks like. We'll judge the cook as it goes. You'll have to do the same with your pit. Keep an eye on it and have a good cook. Now that we got the pork butts out there cooking, I figured we'd take a little time and I'll show you one of my favorite sauces that go great with this style pork. It's basically just a white sauce, but you start off with 2 cups of your favorite mayo. We're gonna first add 2/3 cup of apple cider vinegar to this mayonnaise. And then we got a whole tablespoon of your favorite hot sauce. And then we come back with 2 tablespoons of the rub we made earlier that went on the pork butt. That's gonna add a lot of salt, a lot of black pepper, and great flavor to this white sauce. And then just give it a mix. It's gonna be a thinner sauce. Once you get this sauce good and incorporated, taste it, judge it. You know, if you need a little bit more salt, a little bit more pepper, don't be scared at it. This is just a basic white sauce recipe that'll get you close. If you like more heat, of course, add more hot sauce. Once you get it all mixed up, get it in the fridge, let it sit while your pork butt's cooking. The longer this sits, the better it's gonna be. And this will keep for probably up to a week in the refrigerator. So if you want to make it ahead of time, give it a couple of days to really get them flavors working, that's a great idea, go for it. We're gonna get this in the fridge. About another 30 minutes, we'll go here and check on this pork butt, see how they're looking. It's been about 2 hours, so let's take a look at it. You can see it's got good color. That fat's starting to sizzle. This cooker's been running about 325. When we wrap it, we're gonna add a barbecue rub to the wrap. That way it adds that sweetness, the standard flavor you're always looking for. But without it being on the front end, it's not gonna burn in that wrap like it would be if it was on there now. Color looks good. I'm pleased with the cook so far. We'll check on it in about 30 minutes. We'll be ready to wrap it. We're at the 3-hour mark. It's got plenty of color. I had to peek at it before just to make sure. We're gonna go ahead and get this pork butt wrapped. Like I say, it's got all the color I want it to have right now. We'll get it in here and get it in some butcher paper, hit it with a little bit of Mississippi grind so we can put that good flavor on it. Then we'll get it back on. So we got it in the house. What I've done is I sprinkled some of our Mississippi grind on the bottom side. Then all we're gonna do is do the same thing on the top. And we're not gonna do a real heavy coat. You're just adding a little bit of sugar, a little extra flavor. And then we'll get it wrapped up. Now what I've done is I put the butt long ways, that way you had enough slack on the end you can fold up once you get one roll in it. So we'll just simply bring it up. Just like that. Tuck the edges in. Roll it tight again. And that's it. Just a small single layer wrap. We're not gonna worry about wrapping a whole lot. We just wanna shield it enough from that heat. It'll hold all the fat, it'll baste itself in this, but it's not gonna let abundant of juice settle in there. It's gonna run out the bottom, that's what we want. We don't wanna lose this bark we worked so hard to get for. So let's get it back out here on the pit. We'll keep running the pit at 325. Hoping we got about another hour and a half left in the cook. That'll put us at the 4.5-hour mark. Let's go put it back on the pit. We got the butt back on the pit. I went ahead and stuck a probe in it. We're using a ThermalWorks dot today. We wanna go right in the center. The money muscle still on the stack side. Go dead middle of that butt. We're gonna carry this butt to about 195, 198. We're sitting at a little bit under 140 right now, which I'm okay with that. We'll just add another stick. We'll maintain our heat, keep it at about 325. It should wrap it up here in about an hour and a half. We'll check on it later. So total cook time has been 4.5 hours. Cooker ran 325 the whole time. Of course, you see the ThermalWorks dot, it's beeping at us. I trust the dot, but I always go by feel. So if you come in here on the back side, just see what kind of resistance you got. I mean, it's like butter, it's melting right in there. So we're getting a read anywhere from 195 to 200, so I know this butt's done. We'll take the probe out. And then be careful, even though it's in butcher paper, it's gonna still hold a lot of grease when you go to move it. We'll get it off on this pan. What you wanna do now is hold this butt. It'll hold in a dry cooler for at least 6 to 7 hours. It's piping hot. We'll let it rest for about an hour. We'll get it broke down, show you how we break it down, of course, incorporate that good white sauce. We'll see y'all in a minute. We let this butt sit on the counter for about an hour to let it rest, calm down. We went ahead and took it out of the butcher paper just because the butcher paper is packed full of fat and juice. Smelled really good, but we went ahead and got it out so we didn't make too big a mess. If you was to have this held in a cooler, it'd hold good for 5 to 6 hours, no problem. You just want to do the same thing. Get it out of the cooler, let it sit for about 15 minutes just to kind of cool off enough to where you can handle it. What we've done today is we started with an 8-pound pork butt. We trimmed it up just a little bit. Anything that might have been hanging off the edge, we didn't want to burn. This butt got great color. We cooked it at about 325 degrees the whole time. Wrapped it in butcher paper. Of course, put our favorite barbecue rub in there, just to add a little bit of sweet and a little bit of flavor we didn't have on the front end. We took this butt to about 198. I know it carried over, so I would say the finished tip was probably in the 203, 205 range, which is just what you want eating at home. The true telltale though is grabbing this bone. So if you grab that bone, it pulls out easy, you know it's done. And if you look close, as soon as it come out of there, that bone's already dried right there. There's no moisture left. It dried as soon as it come out of the meat. That's exactly what you want. Now, a lot of people only worry about the money muscle. The money muscle is great, but to me, the best piece of meat on this butt is what rides on that bone right on top of it. As you can tell, it's a little bit darker colored meat. It's got a lot of moisture. Man, it smells great. That's always one of my favorite bites right there. So we'll get a little bit of this pulled up. If you notice, you have a little discoloration. That's just what runs against the bone. It don't taste any different. A lot of times, if we're doing a competition box, I try to pull that off just because it don't look as appetizing. But hey, man, we're eating at the house. Looks good to me. So I'm gonna go ahead and break a little bit of this up. And of course, you have the fat cap right here. What you can do here, if you have people at your get together that love bark, this is the best bark on this butt. As you can see, you can pull off perfect little strips of that. It's got great texture. Of course, it holds a ton of moisture because that's basically the bacon on the back side of this butt. And it's got a little fat underneath there. You can rake it off, no big deal. Use your fingers just to work it out. If you really want to break a butt down for somebody, take your time and do it right. That's one good looking tube right there. Now if you're just gonna pull this, it ain't no big deal. Just pull it apart, don't worry about it. But you can see the muscles when it's cooked perfect, they all stay together, but they pull apart super easy. Now this lighter meat's gonna be a little drier, but once you get it all incorporated and mixed in, it'll be just fine. Now I know I'll get in trouble for all these people out there that say the money muscle is the best. I better go ahead and pull some of that too. I gotta try me a piece of this bark right here though. That's old school eating barbecue right there. That salt and pepper is great. That bark is excellent. Now what I'm gonna do, let me get one of these gloves off. I'm gonna break this up kind of a coarse pull. I'm not gonna pull it down fine or chop it. Now it is good if you wanna take all that bark and chop it in, mix it in, it does really well. We're just gonna break this up kind of loose. And I'm gonna take a little bit of this white sauce here. I know a lot of people hadn't heard of white sauce on pork, and to me, it's one of my favorites. We'll get that mixed in. I have to grab me one of these pieces with bark too. That white sauce complements it so well. It's real strong vinegar, a lot of pepper, a lot of flavor. So once you get this butt broke down, you can do a lot of things with the pork. You can do your standard sandwiches, you can do tacos, you can do a baked potato, whatever you'd like. A lot of times we'll set it out and kind of set it up kind of like a bar atmosphere to where everybody can just kind of pick and choose what they want. Turns out to be an excellent dinner. That's a wrap for today at Swine Life. We appreciate y'all checking this video out. If y'all got any questions, shoot us a message on Facebook and Instagram. We enjoy reading the comments, seeing y'all's feedback on these recipes. It's great to hear from y'all. As always, like and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see y'all next time.